All right. This is the stream is going, and let's get some links shared. Let's make sure we're live streaming. Got a new playlist today. That's why I'm a little bit late. I was going through my liked music, adding a few more songs. If you're interested in the music, I've posted on my Discord over on the OK soundtrack. It's okay. It's a big sampling, you know. Let's pull it over here. Big sampling. I think my my most liked songs on here are probably Beastie Boys. That's not a song. That's most like artists are Beastie Boys and Black Moss Super Rainbow. But pretty wide sampling there, just like one or two songs from everybody. Just music to listen to while I work. Okay, now let's get onto YouTube, share some links, make sure everybody can join. I need to get that live stream chat up too. I've been listening to so many YouTube videos. I was just talking about this last night where there's not really any shows or movies I have been enjoying lately. Nothing that I've been, binge watching or anything like that. Usually when I get to the inking portion of a comic, I put on a series and I usually watch like 36 hours of a TV show while I work. And then by the end, it's like, oh, I only have a few more hours of work to do. Let's see. And it usually helps pass the time. Really good. It's a really good way to pass the time. All right, so we have a good link. So let me share that real quick. Where is it? Okay, so here we go. Live stream going. Oh, I need to pull up the chat. The chat, bud. Now, I'm still struggling with knowing how to pull up a chat. I know my program used to be able to pull that chat bar out and just have it as a window. I wonder if I can still do that for here. Pop out chat, yeah. Boom, boom, bada, boom, bada, boom. I'm housing. Okay, so I got a pop out chat. I'm gonna make sure this works. Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay. Hey, chat. Okay. This is gonna be a Wendy Wonka live stream. I'm streaming issue number 2 of the Epilogue of the Epilogue. You can see here. This is page 2. Page 1 has some content that I don't think we can stream, but page 2 is going to be fine. You can see this is up here just so I can basically eyedropper tool the colors and color match. Let's see what we got going on here. Hello, Fluttermousy, like dead mousey. Okay, so let me get my mind straight. Oh, I wanted to share this on my DeviantArt and Twitter, I guess, too. Might as well. Let's see. Pull up a Twitter real quick. Because I'm housing. This is probably not a good thing to be listening to because I'm gonna probably be singing to myself a little bit while it's probably not gonna reflect well on me because I'm not a great singer. Let's see, here we go. But can't help it. All right, where are we? What am I doing? I'm looking for a yeah. let's get a thumbnail for Twitter. We'll do this one. Okay, now we done Twitter. We done it. Now, DeviantArt. A journal or a post. How about a journal? Streaming. Today and tomorrow I'll be streaming. We're going to be doing coloring today and tomorrow, and I'm hopefully going to be able to, edit this video to cut out the first few minutes. But today and tomorrow we'll be streaming. And pre-order is going to be available next week. I think it's on Wednesday, but next week is Halloween. I didn't want to release it on Halloween because this comic actually sadly has nothing to do with Halloween. I'd like to do something special for Halloween, like to draw something Halloweenish, or I don't know. Today's stream. Here we go. All right. That's about it. We're ready to get going. I don't know about you, but let's get this party started. Now, I've had a really crazy week. Not week. I would say crazy 2 months, 3 months. And that's why it's been a little bit quiet on my end. Had this crazy, terrible story you've got to hear, where so my wife had some medical issues, and then right as she's recovering from those medical issues, a driver runs into her, breaks her backbones, and puts her in the hospital. And, we're learning a lot about insurance, car insurance in Florida. We live in Florida where drivers are not required to have coverage or protection if they cause an accident. Let's say I run into you with my car and I put you in a wheelchair. Well, legally, I'm not required to pay any of your medical bills. You could sue me, but if I have no money, good luck, if I'm poor, you're just SHIT out of luck. And that's pretty much what happened, because there's a lot of people driving around without coverage for people whose lives they destroy. So we're kind of in a bad spot with that. We're not in a terrible spot because we had a little bit of coverage for ourselves. But yeah, let's see here. Let's just get going on this thing. Let's go, because I feel eager to get started. Okay, so we have Britney here. Britney and Wendy are kind of our main characters in this epilogue. There's kind of two stories going on at the same time. And in this second issue, those two stories split further. And so we now have 4 stories happening. So let's see. What I'm doing here is I'm working in Photoshop. Florida is crazy. The other thing, Florida, I would not advise moving to Florida at this point. A lot of people are moving out. There's a lot of people moving out of Florida. The insurance, both home insurance and car insurance, both those fields are just so screwed up right now. And it's not like home insurance is getting more and more and more screwed up as time goes on. And, there's more reasons for that. And hopefully they did some stuff to make it better, but we actually got into this discussion, and everyone I tell this story to, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel scared to live here. It's true, because like I don't know what's going, like some stuff needs to change with insurance in Florida. And you know, I'm probably being a little too nondescript here, but home insurance is way too expensive because everyone who builds in flood areas and you know, everybody loses their house every single year, or you know, has thousands and thousands and like an inch of water causes $20,000 of damage. So every year, like thousands of homes are getting, you know, $50,000 of damage. So like, imagine an insurance company having to cover that. You have to jack up the rates on everyone. So people like me who are more inland, like we have crazy home insurance that we are never going to have to use, but you know, so you can't really afford your home insurance. And then your car insurance is also crazy expensive. And no one has to, it's a no fault state also, which makes it more confusing. In our situation, it was the other driver's fault, but it doesn't really matter if the other driver doesn't have any money. Like I guess it was a young girl, borrowing her mom's car, and you know, didn't know how to drive well, I guess. But you know, we Googled her address, and it's low income housing, so you know, there's not enough money for a good car insurance. There's not enough money if we were to try to reclaim some of our medical costs. It's like, it's not going to work out for us. No lawyer's going to take that case. So, and they, for good reason. I'm not complaining about the lawyer, but yeah. Like you're not required. Basically, Florida law cares about the driver's car you hit, but not the driver you hit. And the other wild thing is it took 3 weeks to get a police report. 3 weeks. When normally it should take 3 days. Now, granted, there was a hurricane, and the police, the sheriff's office took 5 days off, but and what was more shocking when we got the police report was why did it take 3 weeks to get this report? Because obviously the police officers didn't give an F about getting any truthful information, or there was a witness who gave a statement at the scene, and it's it was written there were no witnesses. It was what? No. And then the girl's story about why she caused the accident made absolutely zero sense. It would be like me telling you, I'm outside jumping on the trampoline right now, where it was just what? No, that's not even possible. What she said was, someone on the highway, a 3-lane highway, literally a highway, I'm not making that, a highway, said the person on the highway had stopped on the road and motioned for her to go forward. And so she went forward. She was trying to get into the other side of the highway going south. And so, we're going north. And so she stopped in the middle of the road. She stopped. And we don't know why she didn't pull into the median. She just stopped in the road sideways on a highway. And we were like, did they at least check her phone to see if she was texting or something like that? Or check for DUI or something? What the heck? Because that just makes no sense at all. But no, they didn't. They just, was get her to the hospital. She's complaining about pain. But we did find out her license was revoked. That's the only I guess, silver lining, and you can judge me for being happy about someone losing their license, but that person clearly did not deserve to be driving on the road. And like, my wife is not going to be able to drive for probably 3 or 4, 5 months. So, I don't know how long her license is going to be taken away, but that person who caused the accident definitely deserves their license to be taken away, not cause any more people to get super injured like that. Okay, so that story out of the way, I'm gonna start like going to town on this Britney girl. That sounds crazy. So sorry about that. But yeah, here we go. We're drawing Britney. She is putting this like suit on that she thinks it's for scuba diving, and she does have a scuba diving. It's like a pressure suit. I don't even know what you call this thing. Like it's not like your normal scuba diver thing, but it's like the old school stuff like you would use to go to the bottom of the sea if you wanted to be working. I wonder if like oil rig people use these things still. That reminds me of like I think I was saying this earlier and I got sidetracked, but I've been watching so many videos on YouTube. I used to watch these videos about like crazy ways to die. That sounds bad, but I probably even shouldn't say that. That was probably the wrong thing to say. Like now I'm gonna be penalized on YouTube, but like so it talks about this one guy, how it happened, how his LIFE ended, and it was man, stories like that, those are stories you can't unhear and will forever remain in your mind. So I probably shouldn't share that if you don't want to hear it, but it was an interesting story, I guess. Interesting is one way to describe it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to really get hooked into any TV shows lately, so I've been just streaming the heck out of YouTube, and it kind of checks out with what the Nielsen ratings all show is like. Major networks are really failing. Like the streaming industry is getting tanked by YouTube. Like YouTube is what is getting all the views right now, and it's because that's what's better to watch right now. I don't like anything on the normal, I guess, cable television. Is that what you call it? Like major networks. I just like, maybe if there's better content, I would be interested. But like, I'm enjoying YouTube. I'm worried that it's like all focused on drama and kind of the wrong kind of. It talks about stuff that doesn't make you feel good. You're like, hey, let's talk about how the world is having problems and how bad the world is that we live in. And I think it takes a toll on your emotional well-being, because, oh man, that's the other thing that I'm kind of curious about, and feel free to chime in if you want to, but it's either that the world is, becoming more hostile and just a kind of a more, I guess, unpleasant place to be, and a harder, like when you hear the classic cliche of like, I don't want to bring children into this world. You're like, is the world continuing to become a worse place to bring children into? Or is it just that we have the internet and, that's the kind of content that is interesting and gets more views. So of course everyone hears about it more often than they used to. Like, what's the reality of it? Is it that it's happening more and more often, or is that it's more we're more aware of it? And I really don't know, but would guess that it is a little bit more hostile. There is more craziness happening in the world. And it's not just that, more people are being told about what's going on. So that's my opinion. What do you think? Yeah. So we've got cattle in a cat suit. Well, it's not really a cat suit, but it's like a latex kind of suit. It definitely is giving me some Totally Spies vibes. Totally Spies vibes. That's a fun word to say. Spies vibes. Say that 10 times fast. Spies vibes. Spies vibes. So we might want to get some lip color on here. I'm probably going a little slow because I'm talking. It's hard to work fast and talk at the same time. But I'm telling you, like, my life for the past 2 or 3 months has been so isolated to my office, to my desk, and to my house. So I'm not really getting much face-to-face time in with anybody. And so, yeah, I might take this opportunity to talk a bunch. And thanks for being my therapist out there. All right, so I'm gonna kind of, forehead looks like an Olivia Wilde forehead over here. Let's kind of shade that down. All right, we got that going. There we go. I'm gonna maybe blend this a little bit, or blur it, that's what I mean. I'm gonna blur that just a little bit. And I think I'm gonna go with, what I've been kind of doing, how I've been kind of adjusting my style is, I've kind of been making a lot more use out of the smoke detail brush. That's what this is called down here. It's called smoke detail. And it's basically an airbrush, but it is not so perfect. With the airbrush, the complaint I have with the airbrush tool is that it's so clean. It's not natural. It screams fake or computer generated. With the smoke detail, at least you get a little bit of subtle texture that doesn't scream like, oh, this was made on a computer. And that's what I've been kind of trying to go for lately, is trying to get away from the feeling of like, computer based images where you don't, I just don't like the look, and I like them if it can look more realistic. I think that's a plus. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, there we go. Now we could probably put in a highlight. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do it. Time to make it pop. Pop is a word I like to use when I'm describing what I'm doing here. Popping it. Making things pop. I think that's kind of my philosophy with art, is when you're drawing, I say drawing, not art. With drawings is find ways to make it pop. There we go. And now let's take a white. There. And now it pops. There we go. We'll come in with a multiply, and we'll get this, her cheeks kind of red, like she's straining, really straining a lot to get this Sometimes it takes a very light touch to make a big difference. And now we'll come in with the multiply. Usually need to make sure everybody can see. Let's see how much of the screen. Okay, so I need to pull this over just a slight bit more. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the text box, but now we can pull in this multiply layer. I call it multi because it saves some time. And we're gonna pull a brush. Well, I'll just use the smoke detail, I assume. And there we go. And I'm gonna add some redness to her cheeks and her face. Basically just how it's like stemming out from her upper cheeks, facial cheeks. All right, now let's put a little bit of pressure down here, and the redness also helps make that coloring more dynamic. And we like dynamic. We like dynamic because dynamic means it's popping. All right, here we go. So I'll come back in here and I'll erase what the redness on her hand. So there we go. Yeah. What else is going on in the world? Anything? No elections coming up. Early voting has started. And of course I haven't gotten to that yet. We're still waiting on the car payment, like for the car payout. That was the other unfortunate thing about the accident, is we're losing out money because the insurance company only pays the cash value of the car. We had just spent $1,000 repairing the air conditioner because it's Florida and you can't live without the air conditioner in your car. So we just spent $1,000 on that. So we lost it. You know, that money just goes up in smoke. It doesn't matter that you just spent that. And we're getting the cash value of the car. We can, if we were to go out and buy the exact same car, we would pay about double the amount of what we're getting back. So that sucks. There's no other way to describe it. That sucks. We would have much rather just, had kept the car and kept driving it around. It was a very really special car because, it was not worth a lot of money, but it was a car that had been, I got it from my granddad. And, he was a good person. What types of themes are you planning for this issue? So what types of themes? There's definitely, I don't know what you call, the characters, Wendy and Britney here, are going to be in the story a lot. So you see, like, there's definitely like the types of expansion, body expansion. There's not quite a sequence of expanding or inflating, but let's see. We'll get into. I'm trying to think of what's going on in the second part of pre-order, because there's going to be 16 pages. I think there's going to be 6 pages definitely ready for pre-order. What else we got? Because pretty much there's so there's also going to be de-expansion. What do you call that? Or de-inflation, that kind of thing, where it's undoing. And then there's there is stuffing. Is that what you know, like a tube stuffing. Is that what you'd call it? All right, let's work on the hair now. Let's just kind of finish up Britney. So she's got dark brown hair. Let's eyedropper tool that. So in this issue, there will be expansion, the normal type of growth, or not growth, but the normal type of inflated and expanded people, and then there will be, I guess what you call stuffing or expansion through stuffing. What else? There's it'll depend on how far I can get with the next scene, I guess, because if I say there's one more thing that I could say, but it's gonna be a dead giveaway, and like I don't want to give it away yet. It's still a little early because it's not in this pre-order stuff. I'll be working on it next month in November. The other thing I was gonna go ahead and talk about on the stream was, you know, it's October, and I love a good scary movie. Like those are some of my. I like scary movies and I like comedies, so those are my two types of favorite movies. You know, I don't know if there's a genre of movie I don't like, except for, you know, the obvious of like romantic movies. I don't really care for dramas and documentaries, like, but I like, oh, it was like, oh geez, I didn't know that. Wow, you're really different, right? The normal stuff. So what was The Late Night with the Devil was the movie I watched recently on Hulu. It's streaming, and that was just like, wow, okay, there is a good scary movie that has been released lately. I really want to watch Longlegs because I've heard some chatter about that. I want to watch it, but I don't think it's available on streaming. I just don't get a lot of opportunities to go out to the movie theater, and you know, it's kind of expensive to watch a movie. So yeah, let's do some coloring on this latex. Let me think. Let's do I guess one dark color on the latex suit, and then we'll do a white highlight kind of thing. I have a brush down here. I think that's this one, Hard Round 19. This is the one I like to use for like leather and latex. It is a brush where it recognizes how hard you push down, and how hard you push down determines how big the brush is, and it also determines how dark the brush is. So it your pin pressure dictates. Oh no, I'm on multiply, aren't I? Dang it. Huh, okay. Because that's going to make things more complicated than I want. Let's see, let's take that off. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I really don't need to do multiply. I'm just going to switch over. Let's hope we don't have a burnout, as Han would say. I'm going to switch over and hope we don't have a burnout. Speaking of Star Wars, I think Star Wars fans, or, you know, at this point it's like you got to break down what type of Star Wars fan. I think Star Wars fans who are not happy with how Star Wars is, you know, being made. I think there's some good news coming out for those people. Oh, the egg girl guy. Yes. Not a whole lot. I mean, the egg girl guy will probably pop up. We'll call him her Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty will come into this story because I like Humpty Dumpty, and I thought I wanted to see more of Humpty Dumpty. So if it's up to me, and I think it is, we'll see more Humpty Dumpty. And let's see here. So I'm gonna just kind of, oh, shoot. I need to deselect. The zipper. The main characters that are gonna be in. So basically, the pre-order is all Oompa Loompas, Britney, and Wendy. And then in the second half, we're going to see, well, there's some characters I don't want to spoil, but, we will be following the Wynn's mom and the double-braided, I call her Mindy, because she's like mini Wendy. So we'll see mini Wendy and what's her name? Wynn's mom. We'll also see Wynn and the balloon girl, Madeline. All right. I like how this kind of gives a pretty dynamic look to it. I like this like normal color and how the shaded color looks. There we go. Another interesting thing, part of what makes this whole car wreck debacle so taxing, I guess, is the emotional roller coaster it has put us on, where, it's this huge ordeal where, and there's a lot. It's kind of like when you do something that big, if the butterfly effect, if the wing flutter of a butterfly can cause a tsunami in Japan, imagine what a car wreck can do. How much can that affect your life? And I don't even know where I was going with this for a second. I've already lost my train of thought. Oh man. Well, let's go ahead and do the highlights right here. I can't believe I had. But, oh, now I remember. So we've kind of been looking into what we can do with a lawyer. We have a lawyer through a friend who was, this lawyer was amazing because they actually, we're getting a sum of money, which is not much. It's not even enough to cover our new car, which is a new used car. It's not going to be enough to cover a new used car, but it is some money. So we're going to get that money. The lawyer is not going to take a penny of it. They're kind of just working pro bono, which, they didn't have to do too much work, but legally they're entitled to, a couple $1,000s, which is like, to say, you know what, we don't need that. You can keep it. That's just so amazing. And that's very generous. That's all I can say. So we're very appreciative of that. And, because every little bit helps right now, and it helps when it feels like something goes your way instead of just being like getting the, trying not to cuss, getting the bad end of the stick for all these different things, where it's like, you can come out feeling pretty jaded if that's all you get. Okay. So what we were doing is, this lawyer was, saying we've never had an experience with a lawyer before. We are very lucky in that we've never had to do any kind of court stuff, which is amazing. Like, I'm sure there's been times where we could have, but when you think about all the emotional trauma of dealing with court and the time and energy that those things takes, it's like, if you don't have to, don't do it, you know? Like, but anyways, I should get back on track. So, this lawyer was kind of warning us, like saying, I don't think there's anything we'll be able to get for you. It'll just be that one check from your insurance company. So, so we had, just to make sure we had, could sleep well at night and go on with our life, we did contact one other lawyer who specialized specifically in this type of thing. And they were like, oh yeah, it's like, it's a shame you didn't have non-insured bodily coverage or something. And they're like, yeah, it is. Like, I thought I had given that up, but I was just remembering it wrong. And when we called to make sure we added that to our plan, they're like, oh, you already have that. And we're like, oh, well, we can call back our lawyer. And so we called back the lawyer and was like, hey, good news. Because this lawyer on the other phone, like the spine injury lawyer, says, too bad you didn't have that, because normally in these cases, the victim gets millions of dollars. Like, but too bad you don't have it. So naturally, when you hear that, like, imagine hearing, like, if you had just, like, had a little bit more coverage, you'd be entitled to millions of dollars, but you didn't have it, so you're just totally screwed. That's where we were. And it's like, that is hard to hear. And so it was very frustrating. And then we found out we did have it, and we're like, oh my gosh, we just won the lottery. Pretty much. It wasn't like that, but yeah, that's the kind of feeling of like, oh my gosh, we could have, and then, oh my gosh, we did. And then we called back, and turns out, like, and that we, so we wanted to sign up with that lawyer, like, because they said they could get millions for us. And we're like, oh yes, this is amazing. And, but we were talking before, and like, well, the problem is, if we did go with this lawyer, they don't know anything. They don't know any details, like, aside from what we've told them. So they're just kind of giving us a broad idea. But anyways, we're going into these lawyers, and we say, you know what, we're going to pursue this. And they're like, okay, so any money we claim, you do have to pay 30% or 33% to the lawyer. So what ended up happening is, like, we're in this game where you try to get money or you try to not be screwed, you know, or it's a high risk, high reward. We could either try to get more money than I'll just say it, $10,000. We could try to get more money than $10,000, or we can just accept the $10,000. If we try to get more money than $10,000 and we only get 10,000, we now have 6,000 just for trying. We're gonna pay like $4,000 just to try to get more money. So it was this high risk, high reward thing where it's like, what do you do in that case? Like, because you don't know. That's a $3,000-$4,000 question. And it was just, it was hard to make the right decision. And we talked it over, and I talked with the other lawyer, and they were very honest with us. And then, we talked to somebody else, the other lawyer, and they ended up, being very straight with us and kindly said, you know what, don't do this. So that was like, imagine someone telling you, like, oh, you can have millions of dollars for this. Like, it's literally like you're talking about winning the lottery or something. Like, that's where you are. And speaking of winning the lottery, someone here in this city did win the lottery the other day. They got $1 million, and I was reading about it. They went from $1 million. They chose the one lump sum payment, so they ended up getting 630,000, I think, out of $1 million. So you pay like $400,000, $400,000 in taxes. That's crazy. That is crazy. I speaking of, like, just how crazy. I was watching a video on YouTube, and someone, a TikToker girl, this was a hilarious video because this TikToker girl is obviously, doesn't have a lot of world experience, and she was saying, I actually owe the government money for working. It's like, I have to pay to work? It was like, yeah, that's taxes. That's welcome to reality. I don't know where you've been, but it's funny because it's like everybody feels that. Everybody feels that same like outrage, but it's like nobody's gone through 20 years of life without finding out about that before it actually happens. I guess it's surprising on how much it can be sometimes. Definitely. And definitely if you're in California, like, ooh. I feel like California is probably the highest tax. And I wonder where in the world, what place in the world has the highest taxes? That would be an interesting question to ask. But I was thinking about, the winnings of $640,000. That's a lot of money. It's hard to judge whether that's a lot of money or not right now, right? It's like, it used to be like, it is a lot of money, but how much is that enough to be like, oh, I don't have to work for a few years, or like, it's basically like, oh, I just bought a house and now I don't have to pay for my house. I think that's the difference. Like, you definitely get like a cheat code of life. It's like a life hack, but I don't know that it's like a life-changing experience. Just $1 million. A life, I'm sure it's life-changing and impacts your life a ton, but I do you know what I'm saying, where I don't know how much it's going to change your life. Maybe not as much as you would hope. But if I won that money, I think I would definitely the first thing I think I would do would be to really build a really cool studio office. I would probably build or buy a printer, I guess, for printing out comics. So I could actually just print my own comics, or at least, I don't know if I would do that. That would be pretty stupid. But I would be most interested in having a really cool office, a really cool working studio to work in every day. And the crazy thing is, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what would be my like ideal studio. I think I would have to like take a week to figure out what to do. I'm not really a money focused person. I do like I try to focus on how can I enjoy life with what I have, and how can I work less, which is ironic because I actually probably work a lot. But it's kind of like, when you enjoy what you do, it doesn't quite feel like it's a different kind of experience when you're giving up your time, your life for something that you're not really gung-ho about. Okay, so let's just kind of darken that. There we go. This is something I've been commenting on usually, is the chest shadow. I know that you're supposed to do that like when you draw a real person, a real bust, you would actually have a shadow cast from the fruit on the upper torso. So that's what I've been drawing. Oh, it's getting kind of warm in here. It's a hot day outside. We've been having some very cold weather. I got in one luxury in life that I really enjoy is a pool. We have a pool. It's Florida. You kind of need one in Florida. In a place where you can keep your pool open all year, that's a good place to have a pool. So I was actually in the pool the other day, and it was really cold. And it was really cold, and I was thinking back to this documentary, like this, the octopus documentary on Netflix, where the guy became friends with this octopus in the ocean. And it was over like on the African coast where the water is just like freezing cold. And that's what I think of whenever I'm getting into water that's really freezing cold. Just like that octopus guy. Like, if Octopus Man can do it, so can I. But I think I might need to turn the AC on, because I'm pretty sure it's like 90 degrees outside today. Once that sun peaks, everything just starts warming up. And I'll go ahead and talk about it one more time. I'm still interested in creating a comic volume of both Wendy Wonka and Tales from the Crypt Keeper comics in physical format, like a comic book instead of a digital comic. I'm still interested in doing that, but this I guess this season of life has been so taxing on me. I'm doing good just to get comics out. I did a little bit of research a while ago and found 3 or 4 different printers that I wanted to compare and look at. The other challenge I'm kind of imagining I'm going to run into is making sure that the comic publisher would publish these comics, and I'm not going to run into a problem if there's any kind of content they don't agree with, or I don't think I would run into that problem, but I really just this is not the typical, like, I'm a superhero, I'm flying around fighting bad guys. So I probably, because I want to do like a multi-issue volume, I probably need to put out some polls and be like, well, what's your favorite issues, because I gotta pick a few to put into a volume. And I could just do it like 1 through 6, but there's been some really fun things on DeviantArt lately. People have been doing like rankings of the comics. I know for the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, there's been rankings of the comics, because I've got 16 issues of that, and I think I've probably got 17, maybe 18, like 17 and a half. So I've probably got like 18 issues of this Wendy Wonka comic as well. So I could definitely fill up like 2 volumes. Like a volume is very expensive to print. And it's unfortunate that I couldn't do like a print on demand where it's like, I've got to order, like I put in an order for 100 volumes. I pay, $5,000 for those volumes, and then if they don't sell, then I'm like out money. So it's kind of, that's the risk. Another high risk, high reward. Yay, we love those. Actually, probably wouldn't be high reward. Probably just be like high risk. That's why I haven't done it, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I probably just need to have faith in myself and do it. But here we go. Where's my 19? There we are. Yeah, this definitely reminds me of Totally Spies. And oh, that's something else I need to mention. The bonus comic. I can't believe I haven't posted about this before. The bonus comic, there's a bonus comic page that came with the first issue of the epilogue that involves like the dairy farm on the Wonka factory. Well, there's going to be 2 more pages available. I've got 2 more pages ready, and I'm gonna include those with this comic. So it's kind of like this, what would you call that? It's a bonus, or it's like a add-on kind of. It's not an add-on because that makes it sound like you pay for it, but it's a free add-on. That might be how you say it. But there's going to be 2 more pages of this farm factory, and this will be an ongoing. I should say it'll probably end up being a full issue, and with each epilogue comic, you're going to get another page or 2, and then if you've bought all the epilogue comics, you will have another comic as well. So it's like, thank you for buying the comics. We'll reward you with another comic. So, ta-da. And I don't even know. Something triggered that thought, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, okay. We need that brush back. I did go see Beetlejuice in the theaters. I thought that was a good movie. I don't know what I'm doing there. Reminds me of a picture I saw recently where it was like, what's going on with our collarbone? It was this amazing sketch, but then the collarbone was like, I couldn't unsee it once I noticed it, and it was like, it looks like something's jumping out of her sternum. It was very odd, because like when you have this amazing drawing and then it's like there's this huge glaring problem with the collarbone. You wonder what happened there. But yeah, so Beetlejuice. It was good. If you like Beetlejuice, you're gonna really like that movie. Okay. I think I missed something in the chat. Okay, so here we go. All but 1.3, amazing. Okay, so 1.3. What was 1.3? Okay, so that was the time machine. What was that called? Age Chamber. I think issue 3 was Age Chamber. And it's funny you say that, because I believe the Age Chamber was the highest selling comic of the series. And that's what I kind of try to explain to people sometimes when they're, because it's a pretty common, it's funny that that's like the most highest selling comic, but I also probably, whenever I'm like reading through feedback, it's also the one that's like, you know what, I don't want that kind of stuff in the comic series. And I remember back when I was doing it, I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to test the waters a little bit, try it. And got kind of mixed results, where it was almost like, I'll try to keep it out. That's kind of where I landed. even though it was like, that's, I hate to do that because like that's where I had the most success with sales, and it was very hard to know what to do in a situation like that. Not an easy decision. But I hear you. I understand. And that's why I've sort of tried to minimize the amount. I actually had more plans or more brainstormed idea plans for other content in the original chapter 1 for other ideas, if that had been more well received, I guess is the right way to say it. But it didn't seem like it was financially, it was well received, but it wasn't. That seemed like that was where I got the most negative feedback on the whole chapter as a whole. So I was like, I'm gonna just act like I'm looking for my one tool. Act like I'm gonna try to listen to the fans, that kind of thing. So the next comment I wanted to look at, specific more on that one. Okay, so more on that one was issue 2.5. 5 was probably my favorite, and that was probably the second highest seller comic. 1.2, 1.5, 2.1, 2.3, and 2.7. Okay, let's see. I mean, I liked 2.1 a lot. I really had fun with that issue. And, there's times where I look back at, reread a comic of mine that I did, and there's times where I feel like, oh, I did not draw that very well, or I have kind of cringe feelings sometimes when I look back at my own comics. But I also have moments of like, holy cow, like, what? I drew that? And I'm not saying that to be too braggadocious or anything. I definitely have moments where I feel embarrassed of what I drew, and there's also moments where I can't believe I drew that, where I was like, wow, no wonder I must have been putting in extra hours on that, because that looks really good. But there's other times where it's like, I'm glad I put more time in now, because I'm kind of embarrassed of some of that stuff. Sometimes it's crazy because it feels like it's, one page is good and the next page is like, But the only thing I can say about that is a lot of it has to do with time. And sometimes, you just run out of time and you can't put the time you want to in on something. But that's pretty common with a lot of comic artists. From what I've heard, it's the deadlines. Like a comic artist that meets their deadlines is the comic artist you go with a lot of times. I'm sure that's not 100% case 100% of the time, but it's hard to meet deadlines. It's easy to draw a picture and be like, I'm going to make this picture look amazing. When it's like 100 pictures, then it's like, well, now you have to start being a manager of your time and figuring out how you're going to get all this done in the allotted time. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm actually moving way too slow. But I'm having fun talking. Something happened. What happened? Is your PC protected? Go away. Go away. McAfee. That's one thing. I've watched YouTube videos of, that's the preloaded virus stuff. Just how much of a scam that stuff is. Okay, so, sorry, next chat. That's nice. Hopefully you will do Animal TF in a longer format again. Yes, so the farm side comic, which is just this like extra bonus comic. It reminds me of like if you buy baseball cards and you get a stick of gum in the baseball cards, you're not paying for the gum. It's just like oh, hey, here's a piece of gum. So you're getting this extra bonus thing. That farm comic is being commissioned by someone, and that's why it's being included. And let's see, it will be animal TF. It'll be cow TF. There's a lot of cows. There's a lot of udders. So what happened to Cow Zoe? Is she gonna appear in this one or in the future? Cow Zoe, I don't think she'll appear in the epilogue, but I would like to get her into the side comic if that's possible. The reason I'm saying she might not be in the epilogue comic is because I'm running out of page space. I wanted to make her like a main feature, but I think the main feature part is going to Win and Maddie and Win's mom and Mindy and Britney and Wendy. Everybody's got E's at the end of their name. Sounds like I had absolutely no imagination when I was creating names. It is kind of difficult. I'll just mention that while I'm on it. When you're a writer and you're trying to create names and stuff, that's what I struggle with. Just making names for people. The other part is like, you don't want to name them based on people that you know, because you don't want, you don't ever want something like that to get shared with them, or you don't ever want them to think like, oh yeah, I based this character off of you. Something like that. So yeah, naming characters has always been probably harder than it should be for me. It's not really something I enjoy doing. I do enjoy designing characters. I think everybody enjoys that. All right, we're getting Britney colored. I'm sorry. Yeah, I haven't. I would say I can't confirm that she's not going to be in it, but I'm worried because I really just wanted this comic series to be a 3-issue comic series. The epilogue being 3 issues. But I'm very confident it's going to turn into a 4 or 5 issues series. It's really hard to tell a story in 3 issues, and I'm telling like 4 stories, I think. So yeah, it's hard not to give each story like its own issue, pretty much. Yeah, if you didn't catch on that the farm scenario was going to lead to Cow TF, I don't know what kind of comics you've been reading, but foreshadowing is pretty heavy-handed there. And I guess we'll do Britney's. Oh, we could just finish up on Britney's skin right here. There's one more skin section here. But yeah, I'm getting kind of toasty. I turned off any fan and air conditioner just to there's not like a noise coming in on the microphone. I'm going to try shading that and just leaving the nose. See what that looks like. What if we shade all of this like she's looking down? Whoops. That might be a nice change of pace there. I was doing a personality test for my health, what is it called? You know, your health insurance. You get discounts if you do this kind of personality test kind of thing, which is pretty crazy. Like, I guess it helps. I don't know why they do it, but anyways, I did this personality test, and it turns out I am an adventurer. I was kind of just going through everything as fast as I could, because I think you get like $50 for completing the quiz, which is insane. But yeah, so I was kind of just rushing through it, but it was a little bit interesting, so I was kind of trying to glean a little bit from it. Adventurer. Okay. I think one of my things I need to focus on is trying new things and be excited for new things, and focused on what's next so much that I kind of get lost in, or I kind of lose details of what's actually happening. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty true. That's very on point. I think one of the biggest traps for artists is always like jumping into the next thing without finishing what you're on. And I do really good in that realm. I kind of it's always been something I worked on. I was like, I don't know if you're familiar, like Leonardo da Vinci. I think he was someone where I've heard this story before, where Leonardo da Vinci was always jumping into the next project before he could finish the one he was working on. But I mean, there's good things about that, and there's negative things. But let's see here. I think that's all her skin. Yeah. So maybe we could just go ahead and move on to her hair. Okay, any more questions in chat? Let's see. Andrea is another sorely missed character. I know we've seen a few parts with her, but nothing conclusive. Yeah, Andrea is definitely a vital character in this series, and I will not end the epilogue without using her. I will say that much. And I kind of don't want her to continue in her current state. Currently, she's, like this giant pear. Oh, Minnesota's gone. Just a second. Well, they just hung up. So I don't know what that was. It's like maybe they're gonna send money for the car, which we're still don't have. But yeah, I don't really like how Andrea is right now, because it's very hard to use her in any way, with her just basically being a giant pear. So yeah, you can expect Andrea to become a little bit more Andrea, a little less pear. And I think that the main question I'm wrestling with is, like, where does Wendy end this story? Is she ultimately banned from the factory, or does she remain in the factory and kind of take over? Like, it's either, I feel like it's either gonna be all or nothing. High risk, high reward. Yeah, she either gets it all or she goes home empty-handed, basically. But that's where my main focus is going to be with brainstorming. Figuring out first what's going to happen to Wendy. Where do I want her to end up? And I recently figured out, like, oh, I actually need to get rid of Charlie. That's one character who needs to exit stage left. Okay. All right, there we are. Man, I do have to turn some air on because I'm hot. Starting to feel some moisture rolling down my neck. Can't have that. All right. Okay, so we got a little bit more latex suit. Why don't we work on Wendy? How about we work on Wendy? Okay, let's get her shaded skin. Page space really limits the story being able to be told. Do you try to make the epilogue a trilogy? Yes, I tried to make the epilogue contained within 3 issues. The first issue, why that's really a problem is the first issue was kind of short. It's evading me at the moment, but there was something going on when yeah, it was the whole Patreon and Gumroad thing. Leaving that site and creating a new I guess website or new store to sell the comics on. That whole thing happened, and it was like I have to spend a lot of time on that, so I ended up not having a lot of time to do the comic, and I fell short of my normal page space. I think I was maybe 13 pages plus the extra page, so normally I try to do 16 pages. And so when I've got a short comic, that makes it even harder to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a 3-issue comic. I mean, I could make it 3 issues if it was just about Wendy, Wonka, and Britney, but it's not. Any fate for Wendy is good as long as she gets her just desserts. I hope the series continues under either her or New Flags. Oh yeah, and that's why, I mean, like, I love it too, and that's why I'm doing the epilogue, because I usually am not quite a big fan of ongoing intellectual property, that kind of thing, where it's like, you know what, this character is now invincible because she's too important, or they're too important. Basically, like, we can't ever get rid of Batman or Superman. Those characters are just like, if they kill him off in the comic, it's not going to last. that's where it is. And I prefer to stay away from that. I like more of like realistic stories of like real characters, and I like it when no one's safe. The Walking Dead is what actually got me interested in comics. I was not a comic book person before The Walking Dead, and that feels like forever ago now. Like when The Walking Dead was, like a high selling comic. But I remember reading through The Walking Dead and just being like, oh, I didn't know this is what comics could be, where you can have characters that, you don't know if they're going to survive. And I really like that. That sounds morbid, but that's what makes it interesting for me. There is not this predictability factor. I'm not saying that like Batman comics aren't good. It's just that that's not really what that's not the kind of thing that I'm like, ooh, I want to go read that. I'm gonna go turn the air conditioner on real quick because I am hot. I'll be right back. Oh man, I forgot to drink my water. Okay, I'm worried that it's picking up the fan a little bit. So I'm kind of sorry about that. I'll talk a little bit louder. How about that? Okay, so would have loved to see what happened to Zoe after drinking the blue juice. Oh yeah, because that's kind of where we last left her, and I mean, part of me was like, even if I just have to do a 1-page thing dedicated to her, I'll do that. But I think where I landed with that was, I don't really want to do that because I really think she deserves more than 1 page, and it would be fun to tell a story with her. And if I do that 1 page, then it's like I've kind of shot my load kind of thing. And that blew my opportunity to tell a story with her. But yeah, that's where I am. Maybe if I could do like 1 page in this comic and not ruin my chances to tell her story a little bit more in depth, that would be ideal. Yeah, Wendy definitely deserves, and she's getting some of her just desserts right now. You'll see that she's not too happy. And there's not much she can do about it. And we're also going to be seeing some other people who deserve their just desserts. Let's see here. Okay, so Wendy here. I think that's all the shading I'm going to do for her. Might do a little bit of shading around the cheek, because that'll help show that she's got kind of puffy cheeks. Soft, pudgy cheeks. Facial cheeks. I guess I have to specify that. Oh, I need to put my headphones back on. Yeah, I think I'm going to turn the music on too. I can talk and listen to music. So the IP stuff comments. Do I mean Wendy or the series? Okay, so yeah, um, I kind of got sidetracked with what I was saying. I'm not really a big fan with the IP kind of universe stuff like that. And Wendy Wonka and the Sanderson stepsisters, those were two of my kind of IP experiments. With Tales from the Crypt Keeper, that's my other like big ongoing series that has been working out. Um, I really enjoy that series for the reasons of like, oh, it's not IP, is you have to create new characters with every story, and there's no there's no guaranteed safety for any character. Um, that's one of the perks of doing that series, and I'd almost like to try. I'm gonna go ahead and share a little bit of uh, behind the scenes stuff. I don't might not it might be too early to share this, so sorry. But one of the things I've been brainstorming about is, uh, you know, where I was like, what happens to Wendy? I was thinking maybe of kicking Wendy out of the factory at the end, like she deserves, and Wendy becomes this like narrator for a series like Tales from the Crypt Keeper, but it's actually a series dedicated to, you know, like inflation, expansions, transformations. That's and she takes more of a narrator's role. She takes the role of a narrator instead of being like an active, involved participant in the story. That way, you know, she's a staple character, and she like she's in the series, but there's also the and maybe there would be a little bit of a long drawn out story that you get a little bit of a glimpse of in every issue. But that's one idea I've got for Wendy. Her basically getting kicked out of the Wendy Wonka series, and starting her own factory, starting her own series as a narrator. All right, I'm trying to remember what I do with Wendy's hair. I think I do just highlights. Oh, I'm reading your comment. Sorry. I guess making it connected to Wynn's mom could have potentially worked out. Wynn is going to be fun, and I'm curious what will happen to her. Yeah. Wynn. We've got plans for Wynn, and I'm excited about those. Zoe, because Zoe is kind of, you know, she's a cow and she's kind of immobile. That makes it a little bit more challenging because she can't like insert herself into other characters' stories. She can't like show up. We're gonna have to take the story to her, and I'm not sure that's really possible. And if I take Wynn's mom to her and sort of force that story onto Zoe, I think it's going to compete too much with Zoe's story, and Zoe wouldn't really be a main character, and I'd rather not do that. Okay, so I remember the first time when someone sent me a picture of some show where the main character girl has this exact pink bob haircut, and I was like, dang it. It was like, it looks exactly like I just ripped that off of that person. And I don't know, has that ever happened to you where you like have this idea and then it reminds me of, what's that movie where the movie Knocked Up. The what's that guy's name? The weed guy smokes weed all the time. Not Jason Sudeikis. Not Jonah Hill. Pineapple Express. Who's that guy? But he's in that movie, and they're making that entire website based on seeing actresses without their clothes on, and they've been putting months of time into it, and then they like Google it one day, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, the site already exists." That's what that kind of moment felt like, where it's like, man, I know pink bob haircut is not like a super unique element, but I think the thing that bothered me the most about it was like, oh, it was kind of like this like kids show or something, and you know, for two reasons. It was like, now it looks like I watch kids shows and I got the idea from a kids show, and second of all, it was like a little bit like, I don't know, demeaning or embarrassing. Like, it looks like I watch kids shows, and it looks like I'm thinking like a kid show character is really, really good. Like, oh yeah, that's amazing, I gotta do that. But it was actually when I can pull up my original concept designs. I was playing around with different hairstyles and everything, and that's one of the things that I really like about was it issue 2.1, I think? Yeah, issue 2.1, where she's putting on her wig. She puts on a wig on. I just really liked that whole scene where she's like dressing and becoming Wendy Wonka for chapter 2. That was that scene just really stuck with me. I don't know why. It's probably not like a fan favorite scene, but me personally, I really like that. I guess it was like where Wendy Wonka felt very real to me, I guess. Felt like a very, I don't know if intimate's the right word for it, but humanizing scene. And I think everyone, when you create an original character, like moments when your original character feels very real is one of those moments where like, oh, that's awesome. It's very surreal. Alright, it is cooling off real quick in here. That's nice. Okay, I'm going to come in and just darken that. All right, next chat thing. Let's see here. I should just, I don't know if it's gonna always stay on top. No, it won't. Okay. So I shouldn't even bother. Next chat thing. Wendy is a host for a new series. Would be pretty cool. Yeah, that is one thing about one thing from feedback I've gotten that I've thought has always been a good feedback. I think I've gotten the suggestion, maybe 3 or 4 times of like, why don't you do a series like Crypt Keeper for expansion and inflation? And it's something I've definitely given thought to. I've even generated possible ideas for what the series would be called. And I don't know if do you guys watch like the Crypt Keeper series on like AMC? I noticed it lately. I've been going to bed pretty late, and when I get in bed, I'll turn it on for a few minutes, and it's always on at like midnight. And it's the newest like reboot of Crypt Keeper, and it's not amazing, but it's pretty good for a show these days. But yeah, I've been doing that. So like I enjoy the series, and like I can't say that I've read many of the Crypt Keeper comics. I probably should. Like I really like the covers and everything. Definitely taken a look at the covers and use them for inspiration and try to get inspired by those. Okay. But yeah, I think that would be really fun to do another series. And one reason why the IP of Wendy Wonka has been, I think one reason why I've been able to do it is because I've been, alternating between Wendy Wonka and the Crypt Keeper series, where I get a taste of this one, and then I've gotten my fill of it, and then I move to the other one, get my fill of that, and I move back, and it keeps it from getting is the word stale, or was it burnt out? I don't get burnt out. That's something you have to be very, very mindful of. Any artist can get burnt out, and like this is something I was really thinking about the other day, where it's like it's hard to imagine a job, doing any job, for a few days, and in any job doing it like it not being fun for a few days. Like I'm sure there's thousands of jobs that are like, oh, that'd be fun to do for a few days. But then when you're saying like, all right, now I'm going to do that job for 10 years, like every day for 10 years, and sometimes on the weekends, then you're like, maybe I don't want to do that, or I don't know how you feel about commitment. And like I'm very slow to get on to committing to things because I give everything when I do commit. That's kind of what I was thinking about the other day. It was just like, ooh, I bet the guy whose job it is to go. Do you remember that show? I think it was on History Channel, where the guy goes around to all these different weird jobs and figures out how things are made or how things work. I feel like that would be like the ideal job, is to like sample jobs, like a sampler platter. I think the downside would be you never really get good at anything. But as far as like personal enjoyment out of life, I bet that would be the best kind of job, where you get to sample like tons of different jobs. I think the other thing about that is like, I'm sure like a traveling nurse is something kind of like that, where you're constantly moving to new places, but I mean, you're still doing nursing, you're still doing the same job. But the problem is the same problem with like Las Vegas. Las Vegas is hard to live there because everybody's just visiting, and it's just like a tourist town. There's not really a good sense of community there. I lived in Las Vegas for a while. I would not live there again. was very. Las Vegas is a lot different than I expected, but I would not. I felt like, as you know, I say things are scary a lot. I thought living in Las Vegas was scary because, you're out in the middle of the desert, and that's constantly in my head of what's the like survivor kind of thing mentality of preppers. Like, if that mindset at all is in your head, it's hard to live in Las Vegas because you're constantly thinking like, what if something happened? Like, I'm out in the middle of the desert with a million other people. Like, how do I survive if something happens? Like, you're screwed. Because Las Vegas area is not hospitable to life. And I remember just that was a constant that worry lived in my mind a lot when I lived there. It's not what drove me away from Las Vegas, but it did create a little bit of unease, I'm sure, all the time living there. All right. Well, okay. More chat. Sorry. Da, 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 da. Oh, so the factory. Well, that would be the interesting thing. Would be like, just because she's out of the factory, doesn't mean there would never be like a factory story. Like, she could always just be remembering, oh, this week or this month, I'm going to be remembering telling you guys a story about when I was in the factory this one time and this happened. So it's not like, it would be like you couldn't tell any long drawn out stories like what we're doing with the series. It would have to be like a 7-page story that she tells. That's the downside of that, but yeah, she's wearing the pink bob cut, not her like red hair. Gave her red hair just because the red hair kind of signals crazy. The fiery red hair. I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, so here we go. I'm going so slow with coloring. I'm probably gonna have to limit how much I stream tomorrow because it just takes too much effort to talk and draw. I'm gonna need to get more done. I probably could have gotten this whole page finished by now. Let's see. Anything new you want to try for TF-wise in the epilogue? Oh yeah. So the question is, anything new you want to try as far as TFs go in the epilogue? And yes. A strong yes. There will be some new type of content. That's what I'm excited about. And I think it might. I was about to say, I think it might be new type of content that I've not seen on DeviantArt. So what I mean to say is, like, it might be new to you too. Yeah, and horror anthologies work great with TF Inflation Awakening, and I love horror stories. I still need to put out like a good horror scary movie compilation journal for Halloween. Usually I do it like on October 1st. I'll put out a scary movie list, like what movies do I recommend and what movies are available to stream this month on the major platforms. And but I've been too busy and I haven't actually seen anything that good. I should probably pull up Wendy Wonka's outfit. Okay, so I do multiply on this, but one movie I tried to watch was the Scream reboot. I think that's on Netflix right now. Oh my god, I hated it. It got to the point where I was like hate watching the reboot. I like Jenna Ortega. I think she's a great actress. It felt like I was watching a commercial in some parts, and then in other parts it felt like I was watching someone's boring I guess dissection of horror movies, where I thought that the sister of Jenna Ortega was a pretty bad actress. And I think I've seen the second, because didn't they do 2 reboots of Scream? Or it was like Scream 1 and Scream 2. And I was thinking about this today even, because I know Kung Fu Panda Kung Fu Panda 4 came out today on Netflix. Just like, I know they probably planned a Kung Fu Panda 5. It was like, I need to do a comic about like what the future holds, because you know how we used to imagine like, oh, in the future there'll be all this amazing great stuff. There'll be like flying cars and I don't know, what else did we imagine would be in the future? Like flying homes, or no more fossil fuels, all that kind of stuff. But like, I think reality has created a more dystopian viewpoint. And you know, there's, what is that movie, Idiocracy? Pretty much true. A lot of truth in that. When that's parody, or not parody. Crap. What's the, not parody, but it's satire, or is that what it is? But yeah, I think I need to make a comic that's like, in the year 2050, like what's happening. It's like, we finally get Kung Fu Panda 292, like using Jack Black's AI generated voice. And we also have Moana 6022. Like, how many sequels can we push out? And like, I mean, that's all Disney's doing, is like adding the next number to every one of their titles. And I feel like we're living in a reality that is just now just becoming satire almost. Like, it's what I forget where I saw this, but one place was talking about making fun of Trump, whereas like, or was that even it? Whereas like, it doesn't work anymore, because the reality is funnier than, like, it's too easy to like, and it's more funny in reality. And there's like, that's what is actually happening. Like, you're actually witnessing like an SNL skit in real life, and that's what it feels like we've entered into in 2024. I don't know when we came into it, but that's what it feels like. We're living in a parody of the 2010s or something, and it was like, it's unreal. Bit of a difficult question, but say you genuinely retire Wendy as a sort of IP, Would you consider passing on the torch to somebody else? Not specifically illustration. Passing on the torch to somebody else. I'm not sure what that means. You mean letting someone else draw Wendy? Because I don't know if that's what you're getting at, or just retiring her story. I haven't even gotten to the point of retiring Wendy Wonka yet, because that's the problem with IP characters, you know. It's not that I'm complaining that it shouldn't be that way when I'm complaining about IP characters. I'm complaining like that's just not the kind of story I'm in. And I think what makes it bearable for me is that each chapter brings on a whole host of new characters. And I guess, I guess it is pretty much like the horror anthology where Wendy Wonka is the narrator who is actively involved in the story. So, I mean, she's not really the IP. It's just whenever you come into, like, well, now she needs to get what she deserves, then you have to kind of involve her in the story, and then she kind of stops being a narrator. I guess that's when you dissect it, that's what's happening. Just a specific person carrying on the series for a more official stance. I guess are you asking if I would like another artist to come in and continue basically Wendy Wonka, but I would not be like writing the story or drawing the characters. I mean, I don't think I would mind doing that. I would definitely like to be involved in the decisions of what happens in the story a little bit. I guess kind of like with like George Lucas. Well, that's not a good example, because they pretty much just told him to go F himself. Oh man, I don't even want to start talking about Star Wars. That I shouldn't have opened the bag. Gotta close that bag up. Would I allow a single person or even a collective to do as they wish and make continuations of the story? I mean, I'd have to think about it, because it's like I said, I would like to have a little bit of control. I would welcome. That is a tough question. I don't know, because like I haven't really come to a final decision with what I want to do with Wendy. And if I'm still using her, I don't know. I am totally fine with anybody like saying, oh, I'm going to create a little side story with Wendy, or if I'm going to if you want to write a story, that's fine too, involving Wendy. I don't need to have any control over that. If we were going to do like a major production, like a major comic series or something, then I definitely want to have involvement. But as far as like an image or two or a written story, that's fine. I wouldn't need to. I would be excited to see somebody involving Wendy. I would enjoy seeing another artist take on Wendy too. Who did it? Oh my gosh. Jed. What's his name on? What's Jed's name on? Serioja Inc. So I need to talk to him and see if he wants to work on a cover with me. Like, he's done a cover, but I don't know that anybody else has ever drawn Wendy. At least like a really talented artist that has gotten a lot of views on the deviation the drawing, where I'm like, oh yeah, have you heard about that or seen that? Let's see. Yeah, but I would love to see another artist's interpretation of it. I'll tell you one thing that kind of upset me that happened back when worked on the cover with Serioja Inc. was there were some really rude comments, or maybe like one rude comment that kind of soured that project with me. Wait, Tailblazer. Did Tailblazer do one? Huh. No. God. I thought Tailblazer did something. Now I'm struggling to remember. I think Tailblazer did do something. Now I'm struggling to remember. That's so embarrassing. Crap. Because I really was liking Tailblazer's sketchy style, and I was hoping that Tailblazer would be willing to do like a sketch commission type trade with me. If he would do like a sketch of one of my characters, and I would do like a sketch of one of his, and we could swap. And I feel like we did that, but now I'm struggling to remember which character it was. I can't place it. I don't have the best memory. I have like one of those weird memories where I remember very specific things that I'm like, why do I remember that? And then other things I'm like, I should remember that. I wish I remember that, and I don't. Does that happen to you? Or am I just weird like that? I don't know. Oh, no need to apologize. I'm like, because that chat won't stay on top, it's kind of on the other side of the screen, and I'm being late too, so you're fine. I think let's do some multiply. Oh, I keep hitting that. Let's do some multiply. I think I'm like, my head's getting a little tired. That's why I'm like struggling to remember. I'm getting a little bit tired. I've noticed that my memory is much less, it's much worse when I'm tired. I'll do some like red lines. She's seeing red. Makes me think of like the cartoons back in the two-dimensional cartoon days where it's like the steam comes out of their ears. Need to do some red eyes, I think. I don't want to do it too intense because this is a whole like sequence of rage, I guess, rage sequence where she gets angry and then gets angrier and gets angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier, and then she and then it results in something. Reminds me a lot of the Fran and the spermy robot sequence. I love that sequence where Spermy's arms it ends up Spermy's arms come off. I love that whole interaction between the robot and Fran. I kind of always had an idea of Louise from Bob's Burgers. I'm actually wearing a Bob's Burgers shirt right now, but that's who I always thought of when I was working on Fran, kind of basing her a little bit on Louise from Bob's Burgers. And oh shoot, I already forgot what I was about to say. Dang it. But she was fun to work on, and it was fun using her to like just annoy the heck out of the robot. I have plans for the Wendy Wonka cast after the series wraps up. Well, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. I possibly have plans for Wendy Wonka, and so I'm sure, if I were to go through with those plans, I'm sure these characters in this universe is not dead, and it's not like it'll never be shown again. And I like it a lot when I do commissions, every 3 months, and it's not uncommon for people to request commissions that involve those characters, which is really cool. And I'm sure it gives off the impression, like, to people that I'm somehow rigging it, where like I'm sure it causes a little bit of confusion, but really it's people just requesting commissions based on these characters, which is amazing. And I feel it's a very good sign of, like, reassuring me, like, oh, I'm doing something right. And it's fun. It's not like I don't work as hard on other characters that aren't my own characters, but I just say sometimes it works out to where I can put a little bit more effort into it later on to use it in promotional material or something like that. So I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of incentive too, but it's not like I'm advertising like I'll give you a free upgrade or anything like that for using my characters. This face of Wendy's. Man, I love drawing expressions. I think that's like why I love um, comics, or what I enjoy the most about comics is expressions. Okay. I want it to look like she is about to explode. Okay. Fat nerdy. Yes. Okay, now I remember. Okay, so he did draw Fran. I think what I was struggling with was like thinking I only remember the cover that Serioja Inc. did, and I'm thinking Tailblazer didn't do that. What did he do? But yeah, he did Fran. You're right. As for the other guy you're talking about working on the cover with, I'm not sure who that would be or what. Okay, so issue 2.4 2.4 maybe. There's a picture of, and I think it's even an alternate cover. I got sidetracked and didn't finish that story. Someone made a comment. There might have been 2 comments, and I couldn't tell if they were trolling me or if it was like a genuine comment. But they were like, they made a very negative comment about me, like, I don't like OkayOkayOk's art. It would be so much better if you did the comic instead of him or something. And I was just like, what? I'm like, ugh, that like cut deep kind of thing. So, I mean, like, it cuts deep because, you know, like I spent like years, literally years working on this stuff, and then somebody be like, it sucks. Like, someone else should have done it. I remember reading a comment like that, maybe 2 comments, and really not knowing if it was someone trolling, like maybe I made them mad or something, and I feel like they might have made that comment on the picture on my profile or something, where it would be, they knew I would see it. So I don't know. It might not be that, because I don't feel like there's very, very few people I feel like I've angered over the years. There's definitely people I've angered, and I feel like it's just, you know, they have problems with people very commonly. Very few. I think it was years before I'd even blocked a single person on DeviantArt, which was, I felt pretty lucky about that. Still, the block list is pretty short. It's mostly blocking people who send that note of like, hey, I really like your work. I would like to use your picture on a mural downtown. Please get in touch with me. And it's like, I don't think so. But that's happening a lot recently. I don't know what is going on with that. If I became a target, or if it's basically all stems from a specific chat room or something, and somebody in that chat room has it out for me or something. But that stuff is ramped up like crazy against me, or like, I'm just getting tons of those messages now. I mean, it's not a big deal. I just, you know, ignore it. But it's very interesting. You got to wonder why. I'm trying to think of which issue was the most fun to draw. I think maybe 2.2 2 and 2.1 are ones that I really remember, and ones that I really had fun working on. And I'll tell you, I think it's because of the fact that there's some well thought out backgrounds and environments in those issues. Something about my learning experience in the years that I've been doing comics is, when I first was getting started, I really just hated doing like drawing environments that the characters were in. I just wanted to draw people, draw characters, and not have to draw like tables and walls and chairs and whole buildings and stuff. But the longer I worked on it and the more I kind of analyzed my own work, the more I realized like the backgrounds and the environments that you draw the people in, that is just as important as the character. And it's vital or essential to making those characters live in someone's head. I don't know what part of the psychological aspect it is, but when you believe the environment, you feel like you're transported into that environment, or that uses a different part of the brain, and it like completes the memory or something like that when you are experiencing it. But is the difference when you draw a character and then a character in a believable background over several panels, there's a huge difference. And that's like a big that realization, or when I discovered that was a big, like, what do you call it, like a landmark realization. And I'm pretty sure you can go back in all my comics and you can kind of see when that realization started taking place in my career, if you want to call it that. For me, I don't get out of my house much. I don't know about you, but some weeks, like, I'll go maybe like I've gone like good 4 or 5 days without leaving the house, and it's not like there's just no reason to, kind of thing. It's not healthy, but just when work, I gotta do a lot of, when I'm behind with drawing, I can't get out. You just have to prioritize. Oh wow, that shading really helped. Now I think I'm just using the normal. I'm not using that smoky detail, which gives a little bit more texture. Oh, but as I was saying, the backgrounds, I think it's like so fun for my brain. I think my brain starts like sparking and flying, because like I'm not able to get out much anymore, I was like, when I'm traveling somewhere on the page, my brain activity is probably spiking. I was very lucky that I got to, in the early part of my life, I got lots of experience outside and adventuring and traveling. because I've been very restricted, and that's kind of why I'm doing this job. Like, so I guess that story is for another time, as Mosconato would say. A story for another time. Okay, I can erase a little bit. I'm going to erase that with the smoke detail. Still, I love this panel, this Wendy Wonka shot. Capturing the perfect emotion is a little bit of skill and a little bit of luck. And I feel like I was able to capture the perfect emotion right here. It's not finished, so I'm gonna keep working on it. All right, so let's go into making her angry, like Chris Farley. Angry. I'm Knorb Knudsen with Swedish television. Swedish hidden camera television. Tell us how you feel based on this experience. Angry. Alright. Chris Farley. I guess the algorithm has fed me some Chris Farley lately, and watching that, I'm like, watching a lot of Chris Farley clips, thinking he would never have survived this kind of climate of political correctness. I think that's why I find him enjoyable right now. He's definitely not politically correct. Been watching a lot of I guess Asmongold. I've been watching police videos of people getting arrested trying to attempt scams. Karens getting arrested. What else? Been watching Atazi, Asmongold, some more Penguin Zero. Well, hello, Tom Sawyer. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you. Glad you enjoy those. Let's see. There's a lot of that in Wendy Wonka, and we're gonna be seeing more of that in this epilogue. You know, I probably don't need to shade her little green frou-frou things. I was reading a story lately. Okay, another question. Whatever happened with the lawyer's colleague featured in the last page, volume 1, Chelsea Order? Yeah, well, I haven't included her in the story here yet. You know, where the epilogue picked up, like the entire factory was, you know, flooded with either juice or fudge or chocolate sauce. Saucy. So yeah, there's a lot of characters missing in action right now. Yes, Wendy looks angry. Oh, I forgot to do the eyes. I'm just gonna do eyes, not on multiply. this. Oh, that helped a lot. Red eyes. I need to draw like steam coming out of our ears. Not yet. That'll be like the next page. I was reading a story lately where a character turned into an actual blueberry, basically fruit tip. It seemed like a fun concept to be translated to a Tron form. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're the person I was talking to about this on Discord, but yes, I was brainstorming ideas with different characters on Discord with somebody, and one idea is to transform into an actual blueberry. So that's definitely an option. I don't know if I would have to sort of like take a minute to visualize the beginning to end in my head to see if I thought that it would work out, and not as like, would it be a good story? I think it might be. Probably need to make this, this grr. So she's going grr. That sounded just like Chris Farley in the Swedish television. Why, you son of a... Sir, did you know you're drinking Colombian decaf coffee crystals? What? I said, did you know you're drinking Colombian decaf coffee crystals? You lied to me. Alright. Wow, that really looks cool. That turned out good. How about like her eyes like continue getting redder and redder? Maybe by the next page she'll just be like glowing red eyes. That's good. Alright, how about multiply? Man, I'm just like, this is one of those panels where I look at it and think, I drew that? Like, wow, I really like that. Yeah, so like, if you're an artist, you know this, where we can be very what's the word, self-judgmental, or what's that word, man? But yeah, we can be extra hard on ourselves. We don't need other people to be hard on us. We can do that ourselves. But yeah, I'm really liking this pair of eyes. But that looks weird. Another comment. I was reading a story lately. No, I read that one. Actually, it wasn't me. Oh, it wasn't you. Okay. Everybody uses different names. So, and like, I'll be this name on this one, and this name on that one, and that name on the other one. So it's like, it's hard to keep track of everybody. And so I'm glad it wasn't you. That's, it's good to hear another person interested in that concept, because That's good feedback. All right, so I guess we're almost to backgrounds. I got to finish Britney's clothing down here. And I actually messed up on the flat coloring here. I'm gonna turn that off, turn that back on. I'm gonna correct this flat coloring. I don't cry, my dog runs away. I don't get angry when mom smokes pot. Hit the bottle and flat to the rock. But it's all the same. That's loving, that's the loving. Come back to me. Ooh. Okay, so let's get our. Oh, I can probably easily fix that. Yeah, that'll make it easier. Oh, never mind. Wrong layer. Yeah, there was another good YouTube channel I was watching. It was a really popular YouTube channel. What was it? It's a guy who used to be a Marine or something, or in the army. He was over in Afghanistan and he came back, and then he started telling basically ghost stories from like Reddit and stuff. I feel like it wasn't just fake ghost stories though. Some of them were like real accounts. I think that's where I heard the story about the person in the oil rig who was tied into a winch. Basically, I don't think I need to say anymore. You can imagine what happens in that kind of a story. All right. So now, yes, SpongeBob movie, and it reminds me of Sandy from SpongeBob. Yeah, definitely Sandy. She doesn't wear it for too long. She's gonna. Let's see. Okay, so I need to get this out. Actually, I probably want to do a large brush first. And in cases like this where you could do a normal like flat, curvy is always more interesting. And I'm not trying to be funny there. Like, it's true. I feel like if you could do a curvy line instead of a straight line, just force the curvy. Okay, here we go. So now we can get back into the 19 brush. Well, that looks good. All right. Takes up literally all my time. I'm not sure if I've revealed this yet, but the location that this scene is taking place in is the elevator, where the service elevator. I should say that because that's the running joke. It's not the elevator; it's the service elevator. It's taking place at the service elevator. I'm wondering if I should just darken all that. Yeah, I mean that looks more right. Okay, so So let's do a, let's see. I'm not going to use smoke detail because I feel like that works better on skin, and this is supposed to be latex. So we'll go with the super clean. And a little bit of shading is going to help give it a touch of dimension. We're going to go very light. And almost like kind of trick the mind where it's barely noticeable. All right. Okay, I think we're ready to move on now. Let's give that a little bit of a shade. I should get Spotify Premium. I was able to try like a free trial of it for a month. I really enjoyed Spotify Premium. I feel bad using it because I know it's like kind of a bad deal for the artist. But I don't know. I like sampling a lot of stuff with music. If you can't tell by my playlist, like if I was to buy all the songs individually, that's a lot of work, and it would be, you can't do albums like that, definitely. It's more like radio. Radio. Okay, so let's do a curve here. I don't even know if I should do a soft edge. This song reminds me of Guitar Hero, not Guitar Hero, Rock Band. The Nameless Berry again. Yes, it does mean you get to see the Nameless Berry again. That is one of the characters that is coming back. SoundCloud. Oh, does SoundCloud have commercials? I feel like it doesn't. That's like a hack. Sound hack. Interesting story. I'll never forget this when this happened to me. When a coworker from like 12 years ago, ask, what kind of music do you like? And they're like, oh, I don't like music. I don't listen to music. I'm like, what? You don't like music? Just thinking like, that's a thing? What? How can someone not like music? And it was so weird. I've never forgotten it. That's one of those like moments of my memory that I'm like, I don't know why I remember that, but I will never forget that. I kind of feel privileged. That's like one of the weirdest memories, because you think about watching movies like Saving Private Ryan and they're remembering all these like horrible events, things that they'll never forget, and like things I'll never forget. When someone told me they don't like music, they don't listen to music, they just don't like it. All right, that's cool. Yeah, that's where she's headed. She's headed down to the Crystal Caverns. Not too many crystals down there at the moment, just a lot of juice. Listen to Nirvana. Alright, so I didn't curve that. I think that's going to be the mistake. I was just over here saying, like, if you can go with a curvy line, do a curvy line. And I didn't even do that. Gotta take my own advice. No. I need to use my elbow. There we go. Yeah, Nirvana was such a good band. Or I just really like Nirvana. I've just never found anything that, compares well with Nirvana. Very unique. But that's kind of nice. Like, that offers hope to artists, because a lot of times it's definitely gotten to that place where it feels like you can't do anything unique anymore. Everything's just already been done before. But then you think about, like, well, Nirvana. There's never been another Nirvana. In Utero, yeah, that was a really good, album. I'm trying to think of like one of my favorite Nirvana songs. Like, what would that be? Probably have to. There was one song. Have to go into. Poolside. Let me see. Monkey Man from the Rolling Stones. I really like. Where is? I thought I had a bunch of Nirvana on here. Maybe not. I guess not. Never mind. I can't say the name of the song that I'm thinking of. Like, that might be my favorite song, and I actually probably shouldn't even admit to that being my favorite song, because Like, who would do that? But you probably know what song I'm talking about. It starts with the letter R. This is Milf and Toff. Roth and Toff. Alright, whoops. Okay, let's go here. What do you think? Does this look like shiny latex? I think it does. It might not be super realistic, but definitely getting that vibe from it. This actually should not. Well, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. This also reminds me of the commission I did. I did a few, maybe 2 or 3 commissions I did of, what's her name? Is it Vanessa? But she's in a tracksuit. And she's blowing up the one I'm thinking of is she's got like blue pants on and this pink top on. And she's blowing up a giant bubblegum air bubble. And then she blows up into becoming a giant air bubble. That's what this reminds me of. But this came from Wendy Wonka's closet, and you know which closet that was. The the one with the licorice whips. Mental TF. I'm still trying to figure out how much of old Zoe is still there and how she thinks. Mental. Well, I enjoyed the Rum Dum Dum. Or is it the Rum Dum? No, I think it's the Rum Dum Dum. I think that's the second fun group of words I had to say today. Rum Dum Dum. I enjoyed the Rum Dum Dum. That was one of those mental TFs with Maria Law. Yeah, I don't have any mental TFs planned. Ooh, I'm getting really hungry. Well, it's getting close to dinner time. I didn't really eat lunch. Alright, definitely trying to make these gloves look like gloves. Sometimes I get guilty of making the gloves just look like hands. And kind of forgetting to ink them like gloves. But that will not be the case right here. Yeah, and like speaking of, uh, not speaking of, we're not, just bringing up movies again and shows. I think this might be like the first time in my life where there are zero movies or TV shows that I think, oh, I'm excited about that movie coming up, or I'm excited about that show coming up. Like, there's nothing on the horizon. Like, that's probably pretty telling of where the industry is, Hollywood movie industry. Like, it's not in a good place. Oh, the other thing about movies, like, I'm definitely interested to know if I'm the only one this is happening to, but I definitely feel like it's harder to sit through movies now, maybe because of all the reels and the YouTube videos where, like, quick, when you have to sit through an entire, like, 2-hour movie, it's hard to feel, like, immersed in the movie, and hard not to, like, get anxious and want to get out of there. And I usually have a pretty good, like, attention span. I can, I have endurance, I guess. Like, I can sit here and draw for hours. So I definitely think that's, I'm wondering if that's because, sometimes the content is not that great. I do remember watching, what's the third Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker? I remember watching that in the theater and just feeling like, holy crap, like, I feel like they're just, like, cutting to the next scene, like, every 5 seconds, and I can't keep up with what's happening. And that, I think that was probably intentional, because there's, like, there's not actually any explanation for what's happening. But yeah, I feel like that's going to be a big part of what's happening in the entertainment industry going forward, is, like, the popularity of YouTube is definitely competing with movies, and that format of, like, quick video or reel is definitely going to probably hurt everyone's ability to sit down and watch an actual movie. But maybe it's just that, like, movies have not been very good, and it's hard to stay interested in stuff when it's not really, like, you're not invested in it. The Bear. I have not watched The Bear, but I did. That's, like, on FX and Hulu. I've not watched it, I think. Well, at least I think that's what I'm talking about, the same show. But I did hear that good things about it. And I'm wondering if I'm just, like, in a funky place. Like, maybe it's just me. I really wanted to watch No Country for Old Men the other day. And then I started it and I was like, no, I can't. But that's a good movie. That's a really good movie. But there's that's happened to be several times where I just, like, I start a movie and I'm just like, no, I really just don't want to watch this, actually. Like, abort. I need a quick fix, not a 2-hour movie. Okay, so I think we are almost done. listening to the Hives. I haven't listened to them in forever. Oh man, that is not good. I'm having my graphics card is oh, that was close. Very close. Oh my gosh. Save. Whew. Dude, Google Chrome likes to screw around with me. Like I try to move the Google Chrome window and all of a sudden my whole computer starts locking up. It likes to scare me like that. Okay, let's pull up the... That's what I was trying. I was trying to pull up the chat. That's what. Alright, got it saved. Batman 2, is that gonna be with Twilight guy? Robert, is that his name? Dang it. Yeah, I don't remember that guy's name. I should probably go back and rewatch that movie. I mean, I was okay with that movie. I was not all that, like, engrossed in that Batman movie. No, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, those are Batman movies that I've watched, you know, like, probably more than 10 times each. Remember the first in the Batman series, Batman Begins? I remember watching that. I think I got it for a Christmas present. My dad got it for me for a Christmas present, and we sat down. I think we watched it like twice. Just like sat down and watched it, and then just started watching it again and watched it again. And that's how good I think that movie is. I like the fan edit that someone did where they put lightsabers in their hands instead of the swords when they're fighting on the ice training. That's about all that's good in the Star Wars these days. There's always been fan edits have always been good, and I feel like they've really gotten much better now because of the state of which the franchise is in. I wonder what ever happened to I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Somebody from Hollywood, one of the Hollywood visual effects artists, was doing a modification of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, and doing a lot of really good edits to it. I think I don't know that show can be saved, in my opinion, but they were doing very noteworthy, or at least worthy of checking out edits, and it seemed like the release just kept getting pushed back and back. So I don't know if it ever got finished. Fight Club. Yeah, Fight Club. I read an article about Edward Norton somewhat recently about how he's kind of a not a great person to work with. So I remember now. I was reading an article. It was a Marvel kind of article about how Edward Norton has been banned from the Marvel universe and maybe like the whole franchise sets because he was so difficult to work with at some point. Maybe it was when he was doing his Hulk movie, and after that experience they're like, you're never allowed to come back here. So And it's like, the thing is, it's totally believable because he plays like the jerk. And I mean, I really liked Red Dragon. That was actually one movie I watched recently. That's on Netflix. Like, that's a good movie. That's like the only movie where he's not like a jerk in it. But the thing is, like, you're rooting for the serial killers. And, like, I find myself being like, oh, Edward Norton survived. Oh. It's like, dang it, I don't know who I'm rooting for, you know? Where, like, that movie definitely has the anti-hero where you're kind of rooting for, but you know, you're okay with it, that they didn't win, but it was, you feel bad for him, I guess, because of his facial disfigurement. He doesn't seem like a bad person, and then it's weird how it's like he is a bad person, but he doesn't seem like he's a bad person, you know. They did good job. They did well at humanizing him, at least. While you're looking at chat, I just wanted to compliment you on Andrea's pair transformation. Every time she comes up in the comic, it's a real treat. Oh, well, thank you. We were talking about Andrea earlier, and I was wondering if she had any future appearances planned if you're going to. Yes, and we were talking about Andrea. I do want to, you know, one of my personal favorite TFs in the series is, or just not in the series, just talking about favorite transformations is like a pair transformation, not a full pair transformation, but just pear shape, I guess. So I guess I like pear shape. So I kind of want to bring her back to reality, realistic, what do you call? I'd like to bring her back to a realistic form again. She's very difficult to write for right now because she's an immobile pear. And, you know, she pretty much went 90% pear. And so that makes it a little bit difficult to write a story about her. Alright, so let's do... Who's that lounging in my chair? Who's that casting devious stares in my direction? As I dream, yeah. Yeah, mama, this surely is a dream. So Andrea we've got to include her in this epilogue. I know she'll be in the epilogue. I don't know if she'll have like a whole like sequence, but it would make sense to me to say it's very, very possible because, you know, I really want to get Andrea slightly returned, at least a little bit. You know, I don't want her looking like a... I don't want her to look like she's back to... Oh, this is Andrea back from issue 1. I don't want that, but I don't want her to look like she currently does. And I don't want to go even further with it because I don't know how. I guess you can always go bigger, but that's not what I plan on doing with her. Alright, so the zipper. I think the zipper is kind of like the last thing besides the background. And then we'll call it... That's perfect timing because it's like 5 o'clock over here. Oops. But yeah, there will be some new types of TF that have not been. I don't think I've ever done these, and that's what, like, anytime I'm starting or planning a project, I definitely try to create something that I've not done before. I don't really like repeating things unless I feel like I did a really poor job. Or if it's like, I haven't done this in like 6 years, so why not? But generally I'm just like, I'm not gonna do something again that I've already done. Or sometimes there's, like the blueberry, I've done quite a few of those, but I try to add a different twist to it, or draw it in a different way, or some kind of variation to where it's not like I'm drawing it again. I'm doing it in a new way. But yeah, I've got some new things, and they will be in issue 2, so you don't have to wait long. I'm excited about dinner tonight. Trying out, because of the car accident, we're kind of pressed, and we're trying this new home delivery for meals. We're trying Home Chef, and we've done it once prior, and it worked out really well, and it was really good. So that's why I'm excited about dinner tonight. Usually it's good food. Good home-cooked meal. Okay, so you like the pair transformation as it is. Care to shed some light on a few of the new TFs? I'm curious. I will talk more about those new TFs tomorrow, but I kind of, if you have gotten the Wendy Wonka side comics collection pack, I think it's like a $4 pack I sell on the Selfie, and it used to be on my Patreon, but then when Patreon got axed, that's when I grouped it all together and put it on Selfie. I think there's a comic in there that kind of touched on it on one of the TFs that I'll be doing, but I think it was a 1-page comic, so it's very quick, and this is more of like a, hey, remember that, like that, let's try to work on that some more and kind of expand or expound, is that a word, expound on that? So yeah, so I think, well, it looks like her hair is not bright enough here. I'm just going to do that right, and then I'll be done. We gotta do backgrounds, but I kind of like to wait till the end to do backgrounds. There we go. Alright, that probably should not have taken me all day, but I really did enjoy chatting while drawing. Thanks for coming by and joining me in this live stream. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I will be doing coloring the next page. So if you're interested in previewing the next page and getting in on the chat, asking any more questions, I'll be here tomorrow. Probably same time. Right, like after lunch. I'm on Eastern time, like New York City time, New York City. So, yeah, this is Wendy Wonka Epilogue 2. So, thanks for stopping by, and have a good night, everybody. Good afternoon. I will see you tomorrow.